Welcome back to Conversation by IYC. Chartering a yacht is one of the most luxurious ways to travel, but luxury also comes with unspoken rules. We're joined by charter consultant Abigail Davies, welcome,
Thank you for having me, Sidney.
to uncover the etiquette that ensures seamless, enjoyable experience for both guests and crew. So Abby, let's start with the basics. What are the most important unspoken rules?
There's a few unspoken rules that I think are the most important. Firstly, privacy and discretion, whether that's us as brokers. We never talk about who our clients are, where they're going, and what boats they're chartering. And that's the same with the crew as well on board. Shoes off is definitely one of the most unspoken rules. Everybody knows that you just don't wear shoes on a boat. And safety, I think listening to the captain on the day you start your charter sets the tone for the rest of the week. He only really needs to say the safety rules once, and then the rest of the trip you'll know what you're doing, and you don't have to cross the line with any issues with the captain and safety.
And there's this idea that a yacht is your private playground, but where's the line between making yourself at home and respecting the crew's space and their rhythm?
So you should always feel at home and comfortable on board a yacht. You've chartered it, whether it's for a week, 2 weeks, that's your personal space for the time that you have the boat. But ultimately, the crew are running a professional service on board. So you have to listen to what their boundaries are. So if it's popping your head into the galley, making sure that's okay. The chef's doing a job in there, and there are times where he welcomes people to come in. There are other times where they're super busy and they're prepping for service. So it's listening to the crew and keeping your boundaries and your space when they're hard at work.
And from your experience, what's the difference between guests who have an incredible charter and those who may be unknowingly creating friction?
I think, again, that goes back to listening to the rules, having the crew set boundaries, and also you having boundaries set of how you would like them to be treating you in your space. And, let them do their job, treat them, be kind, be friendly, but also acknowledge that they are doing a service.
What's the most common faux pas that guests makes, like the little things that can maybe throw off the crew?
So, again, unspoken rule, shoes off. Shoes on the boat is a bit of a nightmare for the crew, whether it's on the teak or on the carpet. High heels. Nobody wants high heels on the teak. That can be a real place for a disaster. Children, I think we all know that children can, have mucky hands or spill something. That can be an accident waiting to happen sometimes. So it's just making sure they're watching where the children are going, where they're having their treats. Weather, we all know at sea the wind can pick up or the rain can come at any time. So, 1 minute it's glorious and the next the crew are having to throw all the cushions inside. So that can definitely cause a last minute panic and change of plans. So, I always recommend booking your reservations in advance so you have them, but it can be quite hard at the last minute to make those changes. So it's better to be prepared and acknowledge the crew will do their best to change plans where they can, but it's not always possible.
And speaking of requests, yachts are known for delivering the impossible, perhaps those reservations we're talking about. But is there such a thing as asking in the wrong way?
Of course, there's always a way to ask. I think, if you plan ahead, you've got those, say it's reservations, you can make a change to that reservation, but frequently it's harder to make that plan at the last minute. So I think acknowledge the crew will do their best. That's what they're there to do. They want to make the impossible possible. But you have to respect that, sometimes things can't always go as
the way
planned.
you want them to.
Yeah.
And when it comes to off-menu requests, so dining on board, where does spontaneity end and planning become essential?
So I think this comes back to preference sheets. So it's always thinking before the charter, what do I want and what could I possibly want? So if you have particular wines that you like or particular foods, let the crew know far in advance. You know, they need time to go and plan that. They will always try once you're on board, but if you're in a remote destination, it might not be possible to make that.
And that's part of the role of the broker as well, to, you know, have those sheets, make sure you get all those requests in ahead of time.
Absolutely.
And people imagine yachts as anything goes spaces, but what are the real boundaries when it comes to hosting music late nights if it's maybe more of a party charter?
So I think, again, having that conversation with your broker when you first book the charter is really good to let them know that this is the group we are, these are the kinds of nights we'd like to be having. It's being open with the captain, you know, saying, I'm going to have friends back tonight, is that okay? It's making sure that the crew are aware, and then what the demands of the crew are for that particular party or group of people. And again, it depends, you know, where are you going to be having this party? Are you going to be sat in a marina where you have to be more considerate of the other boats around you, or are you going to be at anchor where you've got a little bit more freedom later on into the evening?
And you mentioned kids before, but what should parents keep in mind to make sure the experience works for everyone, the guests and the crew alike?
So with children, I always say to my clients, at the end of the day, the crew are there to support you. They will help with the children's entertainment. They'll get in the water with the kids. They'll take them on the jet skis, but they aren't there to be supervision at all times. So if you want a relaxing experience, I would recommend bringing a nanny or extra help. So therefore, you can go off, have some time on your own while not having to worry about watching the children.
And we can't talk about etiquette without talking about tipping. It's one of those slightly awkward topics sometimes. What's the right way to approach it so it feels natural, generous, but never uncomfortable?
So with tipping, it's a conversation I like to have in the booking stage of the charter. So the client is aware of the costs of a gratuity or what the expectation of the crew may be. We have a standard MEBA tipping where we look at 10 to 15%. With at your discretion, you can then increase that depending on the experience that you have. So we talk about it in advance, and then once you're on board, depending on the experience you have, you can decide on that number you would like to leave at the end of the trip.
And if we had to narrow it all down, if you had to give guests just 3 golden rules for a flawless charter, what would they be?
So my 3 golden rules of charter: plan early, dedicate the time to your preference sheet in advance of the charter, relax and trust your crew once you're on board.
And Abby, I have 5 quick fire questions for you. Are you ready?
Go for it.
Sunrise or sunset at anchor?
Sunset.
Salt on your skin or sun on your face?
Salt on your skin.
Warm Mediterranean breeze or Caribbean trade winds?
Warm Mediterranean breeze.
Engines off or cruising at full speed?
Engines off.
And finally, a destination that you'll never tire of?
Greece.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you.